Hey, sports fans, welcome back to what some of us consider possibly, potentially, the biggest sporting event there is. There is also a lot of other great championships out there. I would like to preface by saying I enjoy all of them equally, but it would appear, according to TV ratings, that the Super Bowl, yes, the Super Bowl is the biggest one. So we have a fantastic show lined up today. We're just going to cover, guess what? The Super Bowl. With me, as always, is my man RPF. RPF, how you doing today, man?
I am excited. You know why? This is the Super Bowl of Super Bowls. Whenever anyone mentions something epic in their industry, it's always, this is the Super Bowl of, cat food commercials or whatever. This is the Super Bowl of Super Bowls. I am excited, even though it's one team I cannot stand and one city I don't want to go back to is hosting. But beyond that, I am excited.
Wow. What a sell. We went from Super Bowl of Super Bowls to a city I don't want to go back to and a team I can't stand.
But one team I do like, and one team is gonna romp. But anyway, go ahead.
One team is going to romp. Okay. Well, hey, let's dive right in.
In a sense that they're going to win. They're not going to really romp, but they're going to
win. Interesting. Interesting. All right. Anyway, before my mind wanders any further, you know what? Let's dive right into it. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles heading off into the Super Bowl. Let's get into it. Who you got? What's going on? Who's your?
Let's say who's going to win at the end, and maybe put in a score prediction.
All right.
Always, since we're always so accurate, we're known around the league as the Obi-Wan Kenobis of predictions for this season.
The first round of the playoffs, when they played 6 games, the wild card weekend. That was the weekend that I did predict 5 out of the 6, and that capped me. Like I'm done.
The last one, you had a heart over the head thing, which you almost, you had the Tom Brady hangover still. It was like, oh my god,
right?
And he was already checked out, going to the red carpet with 80-year-old actresses. So, he was on his way to Hollywood when he was playing the game. Okay, so I think this is the game that perhaps. Okay, I'll do it this way. Let's do the keys to victory for the Chiefs. Okay, for the Chiefs first.
Chiefs first?
Chiefs. Okay. Well, just for me. Yeah. I think the Chiefs, Andy Reid has to solidify his legacy. The master has to teach the apprentice that this is why he's a friggin' legend, right? He has to say, okay, this is a play call no one saw coming. This is a moment that's coaching, and that's motivating, and that's all of that. Andy's really kind of easygoing. He's like your uncle who tells you a good story once in Thanksgiving, but he needs to be that Belichick lore he doesn't have. And I think this is the game that he can start turning that around for the next couple of years if he actually does pull out this victory. I think a fast start is key to the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been kind of relying on Mahomes. They have Mahomes, so they don't have to really worry about jumping off to a fast start because, it's Patrick Mahomes. What does he do? The 2-minute drill, and he wins the game. That's not going to fly with the Eagles. I think the Eagles are a team of destiny in their minds. So I think the Chiefs have to remind them quickly and often, put your boot on their neck and don't let go. In my opinion, you got to stop the run. Jalen Hurts by himself, I don't believe beats the Chiefs. He needs so the Chiefs have to kind of step up and just plug the holes and let Jalen Hurts hurt you if he can, but he will, but not enough to win, in my opinion. And also, the last thing is the most obvious thing: keep Patrick Mahomes upright. That man with an extra second can do anything on that field. So I think those are the keys to victory, and I think this is the beginning. If those things happen, the Chiefs really become a legit dynastic team, like one of those teams you talk about, because Patrick Mahomes has been there 5 years in a row, and been to the AFC Championship, and he hasn't really kind of broken through that much to be a Super Bowl legend like Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, listen, so alongside with tailoring into the Andy Reid topic, the Chiefs have been to 5 straight AFC Championship, not Super Bowls, AFC Championship. So my point is taking the Super Bowls out of it. They've been to quite a few Super Bowls too, but take those aside. Go one step further down the ladder. They've been to 5 straight AFC Championship games, and to your point, at home, and to your point, I don't want to bash. I don't want this to come off as a bash, but to your point, they only have one Super Bowl.
Right.
You know, of all those of these 5 great
Which is one less
years.
than the Dolphins, but go ahead. Make the Dolphins sound.
You know, and I was just looking up, you know, so I was, like I said, kind of piggybacking with the Andy Reid stuff. I was looking up how many times Andy Reid himself has been to a conference championship game. Again, not just looking at the Super Bowls, because you look at the Super Bowls, I think this is only his 3rd or 4th.
True. I think that's true too. Because Reid before was also to the championship a couple of times. It didn't make it past that, or he went once or something to the bowl. It's not Belichick. Belichick has like an 800%, 8 out of 10 times he gets to the championship, he gets to the Super Bowl, and half the time he wins. So a 1.5. So it's anyway. This is the game.
Yeah.
I think to our point that we're both making, that this could be a legacy making or a legacy defining game for the franchise and for Andy Reid personally.
Yeah.
And Mahomes, frankly.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you know, like, listen, they going back to the stat we just brought up. They've been to the championship, the AFC championship 5 times, and only gone on say what? So a little about half the time now. Like, you're starting to realize that, you know, if you're Patrick Mahomes, that like these, you know, it's the cliche, like this isn't always guaranteed. Like, you're not just, oh, whoa, we're going to the Super Bowl. Like, you might be guaranteed to be one of the perennial powerhouses of the AFC, but you are never guaranteed that Super Bowl run.
In this context, so this is more kind of like post-mortem discussion. I think the X's and O's at the game, during the game, for this game to be successful, I think if I was the Chiefs, I would be, okay, look, we can't do everything. Our defense isn't our offense, right? Our offense has to kind of step up and be who they are. If not, we're not going to win anyways. So the defense, I think, in my opinion, they have to kind of choose. I said, let's plug up the run and let Jalen Hurts beat us every so often, but let be good enough back there, one-on-one coverage. Let them beat us in the air. But if we just plug up the holes, we know we can give our pass rushers, like, they can pin their ears back and just go after him. And then you have a disruptive type of offense for the Eagles. That's, to me, the key to victory. I'm not a fan of either defense of this in the Super Bowl, which is unusual. Usually the defenses are, one defense at least is massively, you know, overpowering. Yeah. And the defenses here are, you know, the Eagles are 21st against the run, you know, in defense. So I think this is a chance for the Chiefs to pick their battles on defense and just go all in on defense, on run defense, in my opinion. That's what I would do.
Yeah. You know, I think another key for Chiefs victory is, and this is kind of, I think I mentioned this going into the AFC Championship game. And you know what? Maybe it's not a key because maybe they don't need to, but I'm hoping it needs to be a key, meaning I think a big key for their victory is going to be their wide receiving core. The run game sucks. Let's just throw that out the window.
Non-existent. Yeah.
The run game sucks, but it doesn't need to be great because you got Patrick Mahomes. He's going to throw the ball anyway. So I'm discarding.
And Mahomes and Kelce with one leg each can still do a lot of damage, as we've seen.
Right. So that brings me to my point: is Travis Kelce. Okay. I think in reality, I think the key to their victory is Travis Kelce. But my point is, what I'm hoping is that the Philadelphia Eagles do not allow Travis Kelce to win the game. Like, quadruple cover him.
It reminds me of, remember that drive a couple Super Bowls ago? Was it last year that the Rams had to go down the field to win the Super Bowl? And everybody knew that nothing was working. Excuse me. Nothing was working. And everyone knew who was getting the ball.
Yeah,
right?
Cooper Kupp. Yeah.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Everyone knew, and the entire billions of people were watching the world. People who don't even follow football, they go, oh, Kupp. You know? And they double teamed them, triple teamed them. Kupp found the ball. Literally every play for an 11-play drive was to Kupp. And he scored the touchdown. So yeah. I think Kelce's one of those players, right? But I think, to your point, the most important player on that field, which is shocking with Mahomes being involved, is Kelce. If Kelce if Kelce has 7 catches on 85 yards, the Chiefs lose, in my opinion. And you have to put a 1 in front of that number in order for it to be comfortable for Patrick Mahomes. So But everyone knows Kelce's coming. That's my point. Earlier point with the coaching. How does Andy Reid get Kelce the ball in a creative way that we've never seen before? Let's do that, right? So that's going to be interesting. If people just rely on what they've done to get there, it's going to be, a high scoring flat game. Meaning, boom, 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 boom. Defense sucks. Offense does what it does. It's it's going to be basically the Rihanna concert, with football in between. So that's going to be that's not going to be good. So I think ultimately, how we get Kelce the ball, we mean the Chiefs as Andy Reid getting the ball that's creative, and people are going to go, wow. I want the announcers to be jumping out of their seats and say, wow, that's a play. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Belichick does that shit all the time. Certainly he did it 20 years ago. And now it's like, who's stepping up to play to be that guy? So anyway, so we're agreeing in that sense.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I hope to God that the Philadelphia Eagles take Kelce out of the game. In which case, the keys to the Chiefs' success will be the receiving core. If Kelce is eliminated, But I think the reality is that I don't think they will.
I think the Chiefs receiving
and
core.
I think Kelce will go for 125 yards and a touchdown or two.
I don't think if I'm Andy Reid, Kelce doesn't touch the ball the first 2 drives, and then he takes over. I think let the receiving core step up and do have a break a tackle and let's see, and then all of a sudden the Eagles defense, the secondary kind of gets sleepy. Put a linebacker on Kelce and see how that works out for you. So let's see. I think that's going to be how I would play. But since I'm just the football genius that no one has acknowledged as of yet, with any offers to coach anywhere.
Subtle plug. RPF is looking for nothing greedy, like maybe just a coordinator position. Nothing
multi-year
greedy.
contract. I'm good. Listen, if Brian Flores can get the defensive coordinator job in Minnesota, which, by the way, is a punishment, I will definitely. I'm available for warm weather cities, please.
If
I'm not going to stand in Buffalo on the sideline during winter.
RPF, if at any point in your career someone offered you a position, but you had to transition from Miami to Minnesota, would you take it?
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry. Is this a trick question? Yes. Minnesota meaning the Vikings, right? A professional team, not some like AA girls flag football team. Okay.
No. I'm just talking about the cities. You had to leave Miami to go to.
Well, Minneapolis is a dynamic city. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to go to some boondoggle igloo town near Canada border. I mean, I'm going to go to a major world-class city like Minneapolis. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I can do any city like that for a couple of years, and then look, I lived in Saratoga Springs. I can live anywhere, so I can definitely live in Minneapolis if they have running water and and cable, so I can watch the Dolphins.
All right, how about the Eagles?
We digress. Now the keys to the Eagles victory.
How about the Eagles? So broken record here. Keys for the Eagles: stop Travis Kelce.
That was my first point. In my bullet points, I said stop Travis Kelce.
Do not let Kelce beat you.
Right. I think, like we said, keep him under 100 yards or in that neighborhood, and you're good. I mean, he's going to get his 100 yards. I mean, there's no chance unless he's literally airlifted out of the stadium. He's going to get 100 yards. I mean, and even then, there's a 50-50 chance he gets 100 yards. Even then.
Yeah. So it's gonna be one of those those Gronk performances where by the end of the game, especially 8 championship games and Super Bowls, Gronk was just was just limp. His back was broken. And he's just
but then he somehow recovered with champagne in his mouth and his shirt is off. Yeah,
but he caught everything. He was walking into the huddle. He was just limping and could barely get there.
Yeah.
But then he'd run his route and pull in this massive catch to make a big impact.
Who was that? Who was the tight end? You're too young for this, but the tight end, the San Diego Chargers tight end, the Dan Fouts just threw the ball to 100 times. He was he always. Dan Fouts for the Chargers back in the day. This is before your time. Probably.
How long ago?
this is like, oh my god, this is like 1981 or something.
Yeah.
It was like a playoff game against guess who? Against Miami, and it was overtime. It was like the most amazing game ever, and we back and forth, and they Kellen Winslow, that's his name, Kellen Winslow. I mean,
okay.
Google
Yeah.
it. This is one of these epic performances, like 15 catches, 182 yards, and he was like, at the end of the game, he looked like he went to Lebanon or something. It was like, he went to Beirut for reconnaissance mission. It was just like true football, a smash mouth football, and it was just, even though the Dolphins lost, I was so impressed with his. Impressed / hated him for being that type of warrior. That's Kelce to me. That's going to be Kelce. So anyway, stop Kelce is your first thing. What else?
I think another big one that I don't know if it's a key, but it's something that I want to see. It's half and half, but AJ Brown. I think you're a star. You're a star receiver. Here's your platform. Here's your You're a star receiver that's not really viewed in the upper echelon of receivers, right? He's an under the radar. He's an absolute stud, but he's under the radar. He hasn't had a a big sort of breakout moment, if you will. Well, guess what? There's none bigger than right now.
It's funny you said that, because AJ Brown was for a future podcast. I was thinking of topics for us to do. One of them was like, who's the biggest superstar no one's talking about that no team would never not want to have on their team? AJ Brown was top of my list, right?
Yeah,
so that was exactly the person.
Yeah, for sure. So as
loud as Cheetah and Waddle are, as quiet has been AJ Brown, and that's time to change that. You have Jalen Hurts back there healthy. To your point.
So I don't know that it's not a key in the fact that, like, oh gosh, if he doesn't do that, there's no chance they win.
Right.
Like, but this is why they got you. This is why you're here. You're here because the Eagles, they wanted to get to a Super Bowl, and they're here because they need people like you. They need superstars like you to help win the game. Yeah. So maybe not a massive key, but something that I would really really like to see out of that receiver.
Anything else you have in mind, or?
Okay. I don't want to get. Yeah, go ahead. You do yours.
You sure? Good. Are you gonna get in the weeds now?
Well, no. I got boring stuff, but go ahead.
The O line has to perform to their level.
Right,
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Nothing sexy. Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you. That's riveting. I'd rather watch Golden Girls reruns while you're discussing that. Which, by the way, they're brilliant.
I'm torn because I know this is true, and I know the game of football. In the game of football, this is true, but I'm just so tired of hearing all the ESPN and the Fox analysts, like all the people, experts. The analysts, experts, the trenches. Well, it's controlling the line, and I'm like,
it's funny you said that, because I have a friend of mine who's gay, who says to me, he watched. I made him watch a game with me, and a couple of years ago, and they kept saying. I said, so what do you think? Like halftime, and he was like, first of all, there's no halftime show. I said, no, not every game has a halftime. He thought it was going to be a surprise, like, performance by Ariana Grande or something. Anyway, I said no. And then he said, so tell me about these trenches. They sound really hot. Because everything was trenches. He was like, what do you mean? Like, they dig a hole? I was like, no. They mean like, the big boys up front, like sumo wrestling to see who gets the end. And he's like, okay, can oil be involved? I said, no. That's a different movie. Anyway, my point is, the trenches is always like the cliche, like the gridiron and and the frozen tundra and all that, all those cinematic euphemisms that we say. Right. Ultimately, that means the boys who don't skip a meal are bumping bellies. So who's going to be able to move that mountain from this mountain?
Right.
Essentially, right? Okay. So let me tell you my Eagles' keys to victory.
Okay.
Which, by the way, to be clear, is not what I want to happen. So, number one and foremost, it's the most obvious thing in the world, is stop Travis Kelce, right? And by stop, we talked about it. 100 yards, that's stopping him to me. So that's the key for.
Let him have his yards. Do not let him get in the end zone.
Yeah, let him have his 7-yard dump. He's the dump off that 7-yarder. Make it a 3rd and 3. Fine. Don't let him break a tackle and do Kelce things with one fingertip catches and that type of thing. So, and don't let them motivate. Don't let him be the motivator, the engine, the fire engine starter, as he always is to that offense. I mean, they remind the world, oh yeah, it's Travis Kelce and Mahomes, 1-2 punch to be all. Jalen Hurts, has to have time, not a lot of time, just another beat. And if he has time, the guy, he's been proving me wrong the entire year, or when he was playing, that he can get the ball there and get the ball there accurately, and get the ball there without damaging his team, not hurting his team with stupid, with stupid brain fart moments. So I think he has to be, he's a key. He can't do it alone. I think the running game has to be involved, draws and things like that to keep them honest. But long drives, this is not something they do well. The Eagles are kind of like explosive. Jalen Hurts does his thing. They're out in 6 plays, and then all of a sudden their defense, which is, again, suspect at best, in my opinion. People think they're so great. I mean, I'm sorry, being 21st on run defense is not great. And that is exactly what I think sustaining a drive with these kind of stopgap runs for the Eagles are going to be the key for their victory. Keep Mahomes off the field. And then these are pretty obvious. But I think the kind of the subtext to everything is to remind them in huddles and in when they're in the sidelines, keep the Chiefs from being the team they think they are. Just stop them. The Eagles should be saying this is our time to say we're the team that they think they are. Let's make that shift. And that's the national. By the way, the Eagles are to me the biggest underdog for being the favorite team in Super Bowl in a long time. I don't think, if you ask honestly, in the heart of most football fans in this country, they believe Mahomes and Chiefs are going to win. The Eagles are 1.5 point favorite, at least they were as of 2 days ago. I'm sure you'll go call your bookie and see what's the spread now, Jonah.
I'm looking.
Call No Finger Lefty or whatever his name is. Squiggy. Call him and see what the spread
is. It's still 1.5.
Is 1.5 points. So I think that can probably go down to a point by game time. I think because if Mahomes looks impressive in warm-ups, people are going to scramble. I think anyway, for being underdogs, technically, the Chiefs are favored to win in most people's hearts and minds. So I think this is going to be interesting to see if the Eagles step up and say, "Oh no." By the way, they kicked ass over the Giants in a game that we both thought it was going to be smash mouth, back and forth, and that was not even a contest. That was ridiculous. So they have the capability too. If their defense somehow puts Mahomes on his ass, this is over, quickly. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but I think that's going to be a very interesting. I think this is the most evenly matched heart head type of young, proven master apprentice type of a lot of storylines. The two brothers playing against each other.
The poor mother. That?
I know. Poor mother has do you see her jersey? It's like half Eagles and half Chiefs jersey she has. I mean, she's probably had to sit. I think if anyone deserves to sit on the 50-yard line is her. She can be anyway. So I mean, she's probably taking Advil as we speak. Anyway. So I think. Anyway, Jonah has time. Time has come for the prediction to end all our. We can be forgiven for all our absurd, boneheaded, hopeful, stupid predictions all year long. Thank you for following along with us and being hopeful with us, however. But Super Bowl prediction. Your money is, you have $1,000 on the line. What is the final score? And you get $1 million if you get it exactly right. What is the final score? Real
quick, because you brought something up. You brought something up that I wanted to sort of reiterate on, and Jalen Hurts. That to me is another key for sure. Jalen Hurts has to do Jalen Hurts things. Like he needs to have a couple of like big 20-30 yard scrambles, where you're just like third and long or something like that, and he saves the downs or something like that.
Excuse me, I just said the most iconic pop cultural zeitgeist reference of all time. Hurts so good. The iconic song from John Mellencamp. You may know him as John Cougar Mellencamp, but John Mellencamp has a song called "Hurts So Good," and I don't know how he doesn't walk out of the tunnel every game with that song blasting over the speakers. "Hurts So Good." So that should be, in my opinion, how a pitcher, as you would know, comes into the game with some sort of song. "Hurts So Good." John Mellencamp has to be,
because that's just not a song that you come out to. That's just. I mean, are you kidding me?
Come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
Yeah,
come on.
I am not running out of a tunnel to come on, baby, make it hurt so good.
The Eagle fans would love it. I mean, it's like Sweet Caroline for the Red Sox.
The Chiefs fans would love it. The Chiefs fans would love it.
Okay, whatever. John Mellencamp will not be dissed on my watch. I saw him in concert, by the way. That's the one concert I didn't want to go to back in the day in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was at school in New Orleans. we went to road trip to Baton Rouge to watch John Mellencamp perform. I was like kind of eye rolling it the whole time. I had never been to a concert that was so not wanting to be there kind of thing. I just went with my friends. It was the most brilliant performance, great band, amazing songs. I was like, wow, I'm a Mellencamp fan. So that was surprising. Anyway, the point is, don't sleep on John Mellencamp. Anyway, love Hurts. I mean, Hurts so good. Okay. I'm done now. Back to football. Actually, it's a good segue to the halftime show that we're going to be talking about today.
Woo! Okay. Predictions.
Predictions, go.
Predictions.
Yeah.
All right. You want mine? You ready?
Yes.
Final score 31-24. Eagles.
That's a good one. I think the defenses are going to be like thinking about the strip bar they just left 2 hours ago. So I think the game's going to be,
Horse.
wait for it, 42-38 Chiefs.
Dang. All right.
That's going to be bombs away. Mahomes and Hurts are going to go. That's why we're here.
See, here's where I get
Kelce for 141 yards, and Kelce is named MVP.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if we're going,
and you're saying AJ Brown probably, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Hurts,
either Hurts or AJ Brown is going to come out as the MVP. Just when I got to go with the Eagles. When I look at their roster and you compare it to the Chiefs, as a whole, it just,
here's the mystery to me. Why are the defense not player for player? You break them down. The Eagles should be unbeaten in many ways. I mean, they probably lost a couple times because Hurts was hurt, but that's fine. But the Eagles' defense should not be this porous, and that's the thing that it baffles me about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, because just given the talent on that team.
Yeah, but I would argue that I would take the Eagles receiving core over the Chiefs. I would take the Eagles running game over the Chiefs for sure. And quite honestly, if everything if the game is called well and managed well,
if it's a big if.
No, 100%. I agreed. But if it is, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes, but I think if he can be right underneath him, he can be almost equal to Patrick Mahomes if it's called and managed well.
You know what? I always think about this when people say, especially young women, say, "Oh, I like a guy who has emotional intelligence," right? In football, that translates to me as not making prudent choices.
Sure.
And that's what Mahomes always had since the beginning. In fact, and for someone that improvises or who improvises so much of his game, so much of his genius is his, scramble, shuffle, his like rollout, behind the back, he still doesn't put yourself in a situation to hurt your team. And the same thing could be said with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, what he doesn't have though, is the Mahomes like mystique. Right?
Mystique. They're very similar. If anything, Jalen Hurts is a better runner. They're very similar. Just you're right. Mahomes I don't know what he's got.
Fairy
dust.
Thing.
He's got fairy dust, man. Like he rolls out, and you're like,
oh. You of with a Tinkerbell who hits in like the Disney thing. he hits him on the head. All of a sudden, stars come out and butterflies and stuff, and he becomes Mahomes. He becomes
I'm waiting. The next Mahomes trick is going to be an actual like basketball like finger roll layup. It's going to be a goal line stand, and he's going to do an actual finger roll over the line, and the tight end's just like Kelce's just going to catch.
No, I think his next trick is going to be he's going to come out there in the huddle, and all of a sudden he's going to take off his helmet, take off his mask, like Mission Impossible, and reveal that he's actually Peyton Manning. He's actually Peyton Manning. Oh, Peyton Manning could always scramble. He just never told anyone.
Fantastic.
All right, so 42-38, lock it in, Chiefs, and you're saying 30.
I was 31-24, Eagles.
I think they're both, it's going to be a 10-7 scrum.
6-3.
Field goal, dink, doink, wins the game.
It's going to be 5-3. 2 field goals and a safety.
How about 2 safeties in a field? 2 safeties, 5-4. I think it's 5-4. I would actually like. Anyway, so let's quickly go into which a lot of people, admittedly, who identify as my friends would argue this is a Rihanna concert with something happening before and after. So Rihanna, by the way, just a little backstory. Rihanna is like, Rihanna. People who know anything about anything know that she's an icon, a legend, and she literally has more top 10 hits than just about anyone, as fast as anyone. I mean, she's a hit machine, and she is like cool as balls. She is amazing. I don't know anybody, and I'm talking to people who like metal music, who actually don't like Rihanna or something about her. Kind of, no one has a negative thing. It's a bit like Eminem. Anyone who knows anything about music or rap, or there's something about that guy that just we all kind of gravitate towards, like Dre. The same thing here with Rihanna. Rihanna, nobody. I've never met anybody who doesn't at least like her a little bit. So that's kind of, I think, a genius stroke from, I guess, is it Apple Music now, or Apple who's sponsoring the halftime show, or somebody?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's somebody. It's the first time ever that Pepsi is not sponsoring it. So I think it's Apple Music or Apple TV or somebody. Anyway, Tim Cook pays a big check, and that's what happened. So Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. Google it. Anyway, so the point is that Rihanna is going to be, what's the word? Genius. There's no way she can't be. I mean, short of like Kelce, the two truisms, Kelce will catch for 100 yards, and Rihanna's going to blow the roof off the place. Okay, so let's do quickly top 10 past Super Bowl halftime shows. And there's a lot of factors. This is a big debate among people who don't watch football, but I'll give you mine. You can react to mine if you want.
All right.
Okay. Good. Number 10. Because hip hop is not my number one. I know it's a sacrilege in the sport, but I like, I'm more like pop or pop country or that type of, or dance or R&B. So to me, but it was epic. Dre and Snoop and Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent. Last year was just like, you cannot not. The only people that were missing to me were Salt and Pepper, which would have been like, let's talk about sex, baby. Anyway, so I think that was epic. Truly was well done, smooth, and it was just like, wow. It was just a wow moment for football.
Except for that weird moment where 50 Cent just flopped down from the roof, like upside down.
I remember that, but I do remember
like,
Dre. I remember.
Why was that necessary?
Dre's jacket was the winner of that halftime show. He was smoking. It was just like, I still think about it. It was like the coolest jacket ever.
I like Snoop's outfit too, but. All right, go ahead. Number 9.
Number 9 is Beyonce, Destiny's Child performance. Formation was like the word I think of for that performance. It was kind of like I was expecting Beyonce, and I got Beyonce. Still top 10. Beyonce cannot do anything that's not top 10, but she was not as Beyonce-like as I would love to her to be. A couple years ago, Jennifer Lopez and Shakira tore up Miami. That halftime show was a lot of hip moving and hip flailing and dancing and fireworks and it was very Miami, very Latin American. It just felt like my people were like free, free at last. I
believe the kids are calling that on brand, RPF.
It was on brand. Thank you. The kids are calling it. Okay. Yeah. Such cool kids that are marketing terms, using marketing terms. What's the ROI on the JLo performance, kids? Anyway. And then we have, you may have heard of him, Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson did exactly Michael Jackson things. And this was back in 1993 when you were like, 4? So that was actually 20 years ago exactly. And it was, 30 years ago. Jesus. And that was just, oh my God, how old am I? Just like 30 years ago.
I know.
I remember being an adult then. Wait, what's happening? But he had the glove. He did the moonwalk. He did all the things you expect him to do. And yet it was just, he sang live. He was great. So Michael Jackson, right? So that to me was a no-brainer.
Yep.
It was also nonstop hits. You remembered how many hits Michael Jackson had. It was just you can't stop to get enough. And anyway, all out. And it was and then Katy Perry was number 6 to me. Katy Perry is memorable. She was like, she has a lot of hits too. She was a hit machine. She was like the white Rihanna, if you will. And she was just hit after hit after hit, firework and all that stuff she does. And but she had the moment I remember was a dancing shark on stage. I don't know if you remember that. He had like basically a gay dancing shark that was like being like completely effervescent, like dancing next to her, and it was like just like the gayest thing I've ever seen. It was like the gayest moment in a culture that celebrates gay iconography. It was wow. It was like the gayest shark I've ever seen. So I thought, good for Katie. She found the one gay shark in the ocean, and he's on stage next to her. So I was very impressed. Google it. Gay shark, Katy Perry. I'm sure it's just Jonah. Gay shark. And his wife walks in. What's happening? Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Right. Exactly. Number 5, Lady Gaga. Back in 2017, I think people remember this. She was wearing the football type of helmet, the glittery shoulder pad outfit, and she skydived or jumped from the top of Texas Stadium.
Yep.
The entrance was everything. That was, and plus again a hit machine. From everything that she does, including Poker Face and Let's Dance and all that stuff that she does. And then we have vocally, I think this is one, if not the best performance. Beginning to end, it was just like, what? It was Bruno Mars from 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Smooth as silk. And I will tell you this, The Weeknd, which performed a couple years ago, I would have put him on the list, but he was, to me, Bruno light in a sense. Bruno Mars just brought it. He was funky and smooth and sexy. And it was masculine and yet somehow like slithering and just like something you want to watch. It was a concert. You wanted to be there. It was just amazing. I almost took out my lighter at home and started doing my, which
that was a good one. That was a great one.
So I didn't do that. Number 3 was my number 3 was everyone's number 1. It's the most memorable of all time. It's again in Miami during a torrential rainstorm. Prince, Purple Rain. And he's singing Purple Rain in the purple outfit, and he's looking up to the sky in his rain. It's literally one of those moments that you're like, boom, like Whitney Houston singing the national anthem during the Gulf War. The boom, most iconic moment ever. Prince, but ultimately, ironically, being so memorable in the rain prevented him from being fully Prince, in my opinion. And he was almost like he did everything he could, but I wanted him to kind of do the Prince stuff, and he did just about everything. But I think he's number 3, in my opinion. Okay. Number 2, which is a contra pick, I call it controversy. I'm picking Janet Jackson because everyone, and only if anyone remembers anything about that performance, which she asked Justin Timberlake to be part of the show. He ripped off her, had a wardrobe malfunction, and all everyone talked about for 15 years was was her tit, was Janet Jackson's 40-year-old breast on national television. And the church ladies went crazy, and the Bible thumpers went crazy, and it was like, oh my God, Janet Jackson's the devil. Justin Timberlake, who ripped off her costume unwantedly, gets celebrated. His career takes off. Janet is now ostracized as a scarlet letter hussy who traumatized children all over the world. Again, double standard much? The point is, but the performance before that moment was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Janet Jackson, the hits, the movement, the dancing, the live choreography, it was just brilliant. And it's such a tragedy, truly pop culture tragedy, that we think about Justin's ripping off her blouse when in fact her performance was epic. But number 1, probably controversial, but if you think about what a halftime show does, is to be epic in a bottle. 12 minutes, be everything. Mm-hmm. Who's better than Madonna? Madonna did it all. She brought it all. Brought hip hop, brought dance, brought voguing, brought choreographed dancing, brought beatbox, brought gymnastics, brought 30 hits into like 12 minutes. Did everything perfectly. Madonna is, to me, the gold standard for a halftime show. And that's my mic drop moment, by the way.
That's that.
It's like a uniball.
I'll give it to you, RPF. It's a pretty dynamite list. My thoughts very quickly on it. The Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, that whole thing. My only gripe with that one was that there was just so many people that it was like each person had like 30 seconds, and it was.
I know it's true,
and it was like I felt like I was never allowed to like fully enjoy each artist's experience, because it was like okay, we gotta get to the next one, like cut, get to the like move along, we got more people to go. But obviously all the people involved, the West Coast, it's blah blah blah, like it was cool. I'm going to disagree with Beyonce, Destiny's Child, at number 9.
Because you think it's higher or not on the list?
Not on the list, I don't think.
don't get the beehive after you. The Bayhive, her fans are called the Bayhive. Are they Bayhive or Beehive? And they're gonna go after you now. Oh my
J-Lo and
goodness.
Shakira was definitely entertaining. Definitely on brand. Kids definitely on brand.
ROI.
I'm sure the ROI was pretty high. Michael Jackson. I'll be honest. I was 13. No, I was 12. So I don't remember, but I can imagine it was amazing. He's Michael Jackson.
Were you blind and deaf then? What was the deal? You don't remember watching the game?
I'll be honest with you. RPF. I probably wasn't watching football at that point.
You're probably playing hockey somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's winter, so you're playing hockey.
My I don't want to get into it, but football really happened for me like in college, like roommates, like and we every Sunday I was like, oh, every Sunday they'd get together and just start drinking beer in the afternoon. I was like, what are we doing? This is great.
A lot of your stories, a lot of your life choices happen after a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Just I'm thinking, okay.
Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, absolutely for sure. I might put her higher.
Yeah.
Bruno Mars, absolutely. I remember that one. I might put him higher.
Yeah.
Janet Jackson, yes, I would on the list, but lower for me.
Okay.
And same thing with Madonna. Now, when I say Madonna lower on the list for me, it's lower than number one. But
Like
it's like
3 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a little bit. So for me, for me, I will never forget this. The number one was Prince. I was obviously young through the 80s and 90s. So like I didn't
80s.
really. Yeah.
Prince.
No. I know. Listen to me.
Oh,
Listen to
okay.
me. So
Yeah.
so I didn't really like, I just knew Prince from like MTV videos. Like, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really know his music or anything. So all of a sudden he's the halftime show and I'm like, oh cool. Yeah, he's got good songs. Like, I was and then
Raspberry Beret. Okay.
And then he comes on the halftime show and I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, yeah, that's fine. And I had no idea, admittedly, had no idea how good of a musician he was.
He
And
tore it up.
He started shredding guitar. And I was like,
electric guitar in the rainstorm. I was so scared for him.
Well, right. And I was like, hang on, the rain's coming, but it's not here yet. He starts playing guitar and I'm like, what?
Like,
yeah.
Eddie Van Halen or something.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea. And so I'm just entranced. I am all of a sudden entranced. And then it just culminates with Purple Rain in the rain, electric guitar in the rain. And I was like, oh my God, this is absolutely incredible. And that was literally the moment that I started back then I think it was still Napster. I don't know, but that was the moment.
There's no argument.
I was like Prince. Like I was like looking up Prince songs, and I was like, oh my
Napster.
God.
Probably was Napster actually back then.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm impressed that you like so many of them because I was scared that you're going to bemoan the fact that there's no Dave Matthews Band ever.
Oh my God, RPF, please, whoa, please.
Or who's another white person? Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks would be good.
Actually, he would be good. But
he was entertainer of the year like 5 times.
Yeah. No, that's true. To me,
Garth Brooks.
Country people would be like more fun people. Like Garth would be fun as a country kind of. It'd be like Tim McGraw and Garth Brooks and and Dierks Bentley all in together.
They should do the Super Bowl in Nashville, and
that'd be fun. That'd be really good.
Bring out all
I think with Miami was the host city for J-Lo and Shakira. That makes perfect sense, right? So Music City should host a show, the Super Bowl, and have have the Grand Ole Opry 2027. There that'd be good.
That'd be pretty cool.
We're solving the issue and have a surprise entrance from. Okay, who's the one artist that you wish had a Super Bowl halftime show that hasn't had one yet?
Shit.
Just because of the hits. I think Taylor Swift would be awesome.
Bah.
I know. But Taylor Swift could bring in like the new generation of girls, right? It could be Olivia Rodrigo and Ariana Grande and, it could be, Demi Lovato and all these type of girls, girl power type of stuff. It would be fun. It'd be a whole new audience for the Super Bowl. I think they'd be smart.
Yeah. I mean, mine's just boring.
Your daughter would like it. She'd be the first one she remembers.
Mine's just boring and too predictable for me. I'd love to see, I'm just old school. hard rock. You know, I'd love to see Metallica or something like that.
They're still alive, right? Yeah. I think the actual thing I would I'm kidding. The actual thing, by the way, you know what's a little hidden gem? Don't miss the opening of the football game, or right before, the Star Spangled Banner is being sung by Chris Stapleton.
Yes,
that should be
I
pretty
did
epic.
hear that. Yeah,
Should be pretty epic.
that'll be really good.
Yeah.
That'll be really good. Okay.
All right. So now for our last bow on this season of football,
Oh boy.
we're gonna do something that it's typical us, So we're gonna do something I'm calling way too early Super Bowl 2024 predictions that we can look back on and just laugh and laugh and laugh.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll wrap it up. Do you have any predictions from for 2024
this is
Super Bowl?
so hard, man.
Don't go into analysis.
You
Just
asked,
give me
I
your give me what your heart feels, and not your brain so much.
Okay.
Which is easy. It's easier for most people.
Okay. I've got Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
I've got Bengals and it's too easy. I was gonna say the Niners. If I got Bengals, Bengals Niners. Bengals Niners.
That's respectable. Not entirely out of the box.
If the Niners hang on to everybody that they have, meaning McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle,
and who's their quarterback,
and keep that defense and Brock Purdy, give Brock Purdy a whole training camp to actually start figuring out some plays and stuff. I think they should be.
Brock Purdy could be the new Brady, step in unexpectedly,
for sure,
become someone much bigger than. Yeah, that's look. That's a solid pick. No one's going to say
I think Joe Burrow is just too much of an absolute stud to just.
You're not saying Lions and Texans or something.
No, I'm not saying what I am certain is coming from your corner, but.
Okay, so I'll say the NFC first, which will shock you first. The NFC, I think the Eagles are opening up into an era of dominance. I think there's nothing anyone showed me on the NFC side that has any weapons against an 80% effective Eagles team. Eagles with Jalen Hurts and that team, and and they have the right coach and the right thinking. I think they don't have opposition in the NFC until they get to the Super Bowl. So I think at least for one more year, I think the Eagles are going to be safely landing again in the Super Bowl in 2024 against, say it with me, the Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins have, you can argue this any which way. I'll just say briefly, if everyone's to your point, if everyone's healthy, let's just say that's of course the biggest if of all. Tua is undersized and concussions and whatever else. So if Tua is healthy and the Dolphins bring back 90% of the team, which I think Mike Gesicki, our beloved tight end, might be leaving us. But I think if everyone comes back, otherwise Tua's healthy. That's a big one. It's a big effect. Now, admittedly, fewer teams for a 7-game run in the middle of that season were better than the Dolphins. I think if we can keep them healthy, Dolphins, Eagles, both teams healthy, could be a very fun game. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, obviously, a big caveat to this will be where unfortunately, will be where, if anywhere, I guess, but where Aaron Rodgers ends up.
Well, that's the whole thing. Quarterback roulette is going to be fun, right? Where is Garoppolo going? That's a big one for me. Whatever. Is he going to? I have a feeling he's going to go to Tennessee.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, Garoppolo. You just don't like the square jaw, handsome quarterbacks. You like them to be more like scruffy and. You've always been biased against good-looking people. Look at me. You've been torturing me forever. Okay? you hate good-looking quarterbacks. I'm tired of your abuse. I'm standing up for all good-looking quarterbacks. I am sick of the abuse and the passive-aggressive.
That is all the time we have for the show this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a fantastic show. I'd like to thank my co-host, RPF.
Where are the Cuban quarterbacks? Why aren't there any Cuban quarterbacks? I just realized. Okay.
You can find us anywhere that you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Podbean. We can also be found socially on Instagram and Twitter, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head over to any of those and in the search bar, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. RPF, my friend,
And
it has
forget
been
to-
real.
It's been totally real, and it's gonna be a fun game. Let's tune in next week for our complete analysis, of course, of the game, but also the ads, and we do a ranking of the ads, what worked, what didn't, and of course the Rihanna review to see how epic she really was. So stay tuned and have a good game, my friend.
All right, we'll see you.